Hello and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series number 110, Anakin Skywalker, Padawan. Finally, I feel like we pre-ordered these ages and ages ago. They are here, and that is super cool. Well, at least Anakin's here. I don't have the rest yet. But Anakin is here, and I am very excited because it's Anakin. There's his image on the packaging. He looks pretty irritated, I would say. It's the sand. It's coarse. It's rough. It gets everywhere. At the back, it says, a hero of the Clone Wars, Anakin was caring and compassionate, but also had a fear of loss that would prove to be his downfall. And yeah, pretty cool stuff right there. And I wonder if there's any warnings here suggesting that you keep it away from sand. All right, I'm gonna take a moment, get this wannabe bad boy out of the box. When we come back, we'll take a closer look. All right, and here's Anakin out of the packaging, and he looks pretty good. There's a bit of shortcutting, and we'll get into that. But just looking at the proportions, it's not bad. I kind of feel like there's a big gap between like the shoulders, like from the top, like to where the arms, like the actual shoulder parts of the arms. It just looks like a gap to me. Also the body, I mean, he was pretty like lanky in the film, right? So I guess that looks pretty good overall. Overall, it's looking pretty good though. The colors and everything look pretty much to be on point. I've always really liked this outfit. I know it's basically the same outfit he has in Revenge of the Sith, but the colors on that one are a little bit darker. I've always thought it looked really cool. Unfortunately, we don't get a cloak here. Just like we didn't get a cloak with the Revenge of the Sith Black Series Anakin. And let's talk about that face sculpt, because originally I thought, from what I saw in the promo photos, that this face sculpt didn't look all that great. It actually looks better in person. It actually looks like they maybe went back to the drawing board and tweaked it a little bit. And it really depends, I feel like, on how you look at it. Like, I mean, from like dead on, it looks pretty good, like right there. If you angle it down, it looks pretty good. If you look up, it's not terrible. I feel like his cheeks maybe are a little bit too big. I feel like his face should be a little bit skinnier. I mean, it almost looks like Jake Lloyd, like if he grew up to be this age and then he still played Anakin. Does that make sense? From the profile, it's not too bad. Actually, pretty good. I don't really like how the braid is so dark. Look how much it contrasts with the rest of the hair. It's kind of noticeable. And they didn't even like. He's supposed to have like colored ties on his braid, I think, and they didn't do that. From this angle, it's pretty good. From this angle, it's okay. But like, I feel like his jaw is just a little bit too big. His jaw and his cheekbones are a little too large. Like, Hayden has a pretty narrow face, I feel like. Maybe if this were Anakin a couple of years before Attack of the Clones, it would seem a little more fitting, but I don't know. It's not bad. It really feels like it depends on how you look at it. Like, on camera, it honestly doesn't look quite as good as it does in person. I don't know if it's just the way that it's, it depends on how you have it lit or what, but yeah. It's hard to say. I do want to mention, though, that there's quite a contrast in the color between his face and his neck. Like, they're kind of different. His hands seem to be about... They seem to match his face a little better than the neck. The neck just looks a little bit too... The color's a little bit different. Like the color of beige. You see, it's like a different shade of beige in his face. So that bugs me. The hair is all right. It's sculpted pretty well, but the color feels a little cheap to me. Like, I don't know, like just having like, oh, that's weird. It almost looks like there's like a seam going like that. He's got his little ponytail in the back. From the front though, like just the way they wash the hair, you can see like there's a little bit of black. It just seems like a little bit much. Like maybe they didn't thin out the wash before it was applied properly. I mean, so it's not terrible. It just doesn't look as good as I feel like it should. The actual paint applications are good. The eyes are good. The eyebrows look nice. Lips look good. He has some like really light, like brown, like really dark hazel colored eyes. So that is a nice touch. As far as the body goes, it is reuse from the episode 3 Anakin figure, which also is released during the archive line. So you know, they took a shortcut. It's a bit of a bummer because newer figures obviously have updated articulation. They have like the butterfly joints in the shoulders, and they have more user-friendly joints here in the elbows, stuff like that. And, you know, he still suffers from having kind of loose-ish joints. Like here at the legs especially, these are kind of loose and a bit rubbery too. So, you know, I think they kind of need to retire that mold and do something different. But, you know, they took shortcuts, so maybe they invested it on Plo Koon and Kit Fisto, who are also part of this wave. So the outfit looks pretty good. Like I said, colors look pretty screen accurate. It's a little glossy, a little bit too glossy, but not as bad as, you know, the very first Anakin was. In terms of articulation, so we do have a nice joint here at the neck, so you get some really good movement there. You can go side to side, you can tilt it a little bit. Here at the shoulders, he does have insert molded connections, so you can rotate those. Same thing here at the elbows. And, you know, like I said, they're kind of outdated, so you're not going to get that full range of articulation that you would get on some of the newer figures. See, they don't even go full, like 90 degrees, which is kind of a bummer. Right hand, rotate, forward and backward. Left hand, rotate, forward and backward as well. You do have a good ball joint here at the torso. You have ball joints here at the hips, so those kick out. They go forward. You have rotations at both of the thighs, double bends at the knees. And then here at the ankles, you have ankle pivot, and you have a ball hinge in order to give it, you know, that movement going forward and back and side to side. So overall, it's not bad. The head is actually probably the best point of articulation the figure has. Other than that, they just didn't really update it enough to bring it into like 2020 Black Series standards. Anakin comes with a singular accessory, and that is his lightsaber. Now, this is something I did call out when I saw those promo photos like last year of this figure. He has Darth Vader's lightsaber hilt from The Empire Strikes Back. So it's not even, I mean, it's close, but it's not the right design. The design, if they wanted to be even closer to it, they would have used the A New Hope lightsaber hilt. But even that wouldn't be completely accurate. So, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. Not everybody's going to notice it. I am, and I'm going to call it out because that's lazy. The lightsaber blade right here, kind of a medium blue color. And I hate how these are so like flimsy. Like, look at that. I always feel like these are going to break. I really wish they would include an additional lightsaber hilt with the figure, because that is just, you know, difficult to take off, difficult to put on. I'm not a fan of it. I don't even think there's a way to attach it. I mean, because it's reuse, right? So, I mean, there's not, it should go like right here. No bueno. Here's a comparison with our new Anakin along with the Revenge of the Sith Archive Anakin. I'm noticing a couple differences. While the bodies are reused, you can see that the lower right arm and hand are different because this is obviously before he got his arm chopped off. And there's also not like the little brown skirt that you have on this previous Anakin. You see the little brown skirt like at the bottom. The new Anakin doesn't, come on guys, bear with me. The newer Anakin doesn't have the skirt for some reason. I don't know why that is. I feel like it should have it. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't have it, but it's not there. So, now that I see that, it looks kind of naked. It doesn't seem, I mean, maybe he didn't have it in the film. I kind of feel like he did though. I'll have to go back and look. But, yeah, just looking on one to the other, since they don't want to stand, they are hard to stand. Like I said, these joints are kind of loose. The likeness is better on the Revenge of the Sith Anakin, I feel like. I mean, it's not bad on the new one. It's just not particularly great either. I mean, I guess neither of them are on point, but I don't know. They both have photoreal, so this one's more pale too, but I kind of feel like it works to an extent. It's too pale. This one seems a little bit more on point as far as the skin tone goes. Like, you know, it's a little bit more tan looking. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends. I mean, if you want to get both, I mean, you kind of know what to expect if you already have this one, what you're getting with this one. You can see that the colors are a little bit different. So it is a slight repaint, including the belt being a little bit different. Like this little pouch is not on the newer Anakin right there. You can see he's got something different. So there are, minor differences like that. In fact, the back of the belt also is a bit different. So the whole belt is probably just like a new sculpt. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, they feel like the same figure, especially since they didn't go back and re-engineer, it to be something better, something more modern. So it's a little lackluster. I feel like they should have updated it, but I guess at the same time, it's not terrible. Here is the new Anakin along with the Bandai Tamashii Nations SH figure. It's Anakin Skywalker from Attack of the Clones, which I have long felt has been one of their absolute strongest likenesses in the entire line. And that still holds true when you look at these two, one next to the other. Like, proportionately speaking, the Bandai one looks a lot more natural, a lot more realistic. Like I said, I do have some issues with the proportions of the Hasbro Anakin, and I don't feel those issues with the Bandai release. Taking a closer look, yeah, I mean, it's no comparison. The Bandai one just looks so much better. I mean, I really see Hayden in the Bandai figure. It just like exudes his like personality, his kind of smug like personality. And this newer one isn't, like I said, it's not terrible. It just could have been so much better, especially had they gone back and re-engineered the entire body, given us something that actually stood without too much trouble, without too much futzing. And yeah, the braid also looks a lot better, more detailed too on the Bandai Anakin. Oh, and he has a spot for his lightsaber too. Crazy, huh? Here is Anakin with Count Dooku, and I mean, you can really see that there's quite a disparity in terms of the overall quality of both figures. Like, for all the shortcuts they took with this figure, why didn't they give him one of those lightsaber effects? I mean, at the very least, they gave him the wrong lightsaber. Why didn't they give him one of those effects? I don't know. Here he is with the Walgreens exclusive Black Series Obi-Wan Kenobi. I haven't gotten the new Attack of the Clones Obi-Wan yet. He hasn't arrived. So in lieu of that, we're going to compare Anakin with him. And I mean, yeah, that's still a much better looking figure than this. Here's Anakin with his wife. And yeah, I mean, I like the Padme figure quite a bit. But Anakin, he kind of looks like a vintage figure here, doesn't he? Like, for some reason. I don't know. It just kind of infuriates me that they didn't like update the figure. I mean, it's mostly reuse. And unfortunately, you can tell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Anakin Skywalker Padawan as seen in Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones. Overall, you guys, I'm disappointed in the figure. I mean, I think we all knew it was going to be reused from the original Anakin figure, but I don't think we thought it was going to turn out as poorly as it did. Just the execution of it. I mean, let's say that they took the shortcuts that they did with the figure. They still could have done a better head sculpt. They still could have included another lightsaber blade effect or a lightsaber hilt, or included a way to attach the lightsaber onto his belt. This figure just can't do that because they gave him Vader's lightsaber and there's no way to attach it to the belt. So they really took quite a few shortcuts with this figure when they really shouldn't have. Anakin Skywalker is the main character. They should have gone all out with this figure. Updated him through and through. Instead, it looks like they spent their money on the rest of the wave, giving us a new Obi-Wan Kenobi and some new Jedi figures, which I am over the moon about, but I really feel they should have either gone big or gone home with this figure, and unfortunately they just took too many shortcuts for me to really like it all that much. Just be aware of those shortcuts. And I just gotta say, I'm really disappointed that Hasbro took so many shortcuts with what should have been like the definitive Anakin Skywalker figure in 2020. It's hard to stand. It's very rubbery plastic, which it inherited from being reused. And there's just not a whole lot to like about it, honestly. I'm pretty disappointed. All right, my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about the Anakin figure. Will you be adding him to your collection? Sound off down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Subscribe to the Cantina Chatter podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.